Everyone. Welcome to our last Lunch and Learn for this year's Partners in Giving campaign. We are so glad you could join us today. We have just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Please make sure your microphones are muted during the presentation, and there will be time at the end for Q&A, where you can either raise your hand and I will call on you, or you can use the chat and I will read your question out loud. For today's session, this week's focus topic is animal welfare, and we have one special presenter with us here today. Lindsay is here from the Schlitz Audubon organization. So I will hand it over to Lindsay.
All right, just like that. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and to be able to present to everybody. My name is Lindsay Obermeyer, and I am the Raptor Program and Animal Ambassador Director at Schlitz Audubon Nature Center. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we are a 185-acre nature center that's located just north of Milwaukee, right along the shore of Lake Michigan. So we have a lot of stuff that goes on throughout the entire year. And our mission at Schlitz is to preserve our land's diversity along Lake Michigan, as well as provide meaningful experiences and environmental education for all. And for all includes everybody of all abilities as well as ages. In fact, here on site, we have a preschool. Very envious of those children. But one thing that we have that's very unique to our nature center that I am very proud of is our very unique Raptor program. And as we are to hear, and I want to talk to you about animals and animal welfare, I am going to share with you a little bit about our program. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to share my screen because I am not tech savvy. So let me see if I can open this stuff up. But with all of our environmental education, we cover multiple themes from like anybody's interests and activities. So if they're into botany and plants, they can come and learn about that. Astronomy, animals, of course. So let's see if I can do. Okay, forgive me. Are you able to see this, my screen?
Not yet. Are you able to find where the shared screen button is?
I do see it, and it is highlighted.
Okay, if you click it, what happens?
Let's see if I do window. A little pop-up happens.
Okay, so then you select what window you'd like to share.
There we go. I obviously do this a lot. Are you able to see it?
Was there a button that said go ahead and share it?
Yeah.
We still can't. Is it a link or a file that you could just pop in the chat quick and then I can do it for you?
It is a document, a PowerPoint.
Yeah, if you have it, if you have it saved locally, you can throw the file in the chat and then I could open it for you.
What would I do without you?
It's only from experience.
Yeah. All right. It is very slowly uploading for you. But one thing that we have really unique here along the shore of Lake Michigan at Schlitz Audubon is our habitat and our wonderful land. And because of it, we are a prime location for migration. And so visitors are able to see, if they come and visit during those peak migration hours, they're able to see not only wonderful songbird populations, but raptors as well. And so we started our Raptor program. Next year will be our 40th anniversary for the Raptor program. And we started with a mere great horned owl, and American kestrel. And from there, we have grown to a very unique, robust collection of 15 different birds that are here as educators to move around the community, around the entire state of Wisconsin. Thank you. Around the entire state of Wisconsin to spread environmental awareness. So you're able to see my amazing PowerPoint, and I spent a lot of time on that collage of our beautiful birds. But this is our current collection of birds within our Atchlids Audubon. So we have a variety of owls. We actually have 7 different owls, 3 falcons. We have 3 hawks, 2 bald eagles, a beautiful turkey vulture, and a very smart, witty crow. And all of these birds aid in our education throughout the community to provide these really unique experiences for the public as we meet them. So you can go to the next slide. So about us, like I had said, next year we are celebrating our 40th year of establishment for the Raptor program. All of the birds that live with us are not releasable, and they are here for education. So because of that, they were mostly wild hatched animals. They had an injury out in the wild, and they went into wildlife rehabilitation. From there, they were deemed non-releasable. They would not survive out in the wild, and so they moved into Schlitz Audubon, and they work with us to spread environmental awareness. All of this is a lot of work, and we have 4 full-time staff people, as well as 35 volunteers, and we would not be able to do what we do without our amazing volunteers. And of course, our bottom line goal is to spread environmental awareness and stewardship, and we hope to create those amazing personal connections between the birds and the public, so that the public is just a little bit more aware of the natural world around them, and in hopes they will then be inspired to take care of it a little bit more, even if it's just in their own backyard. And it is because of the wonderful support and giving and from EarthShare, we were able to do this throughout the community and support these birds, provide the best life for them possible, so that they are very strong educators in our programs. So we can go to the next one. They are hardworking birds, so all of this support goes towards our over 450 educational programs a year, and our birds reach over 60,000 people. And right now we see the animal welfare considerations. It is what we do. So everything about these birds, every aspect of their lives is something we need to consider and make sure that it is positive and healthy. When we are dealing with wild animals like we are, there are many challenges with that. These birds, because they're completely wild, although they're used to being with us, they're inherently wild. They do not show any signs of injury, of sickness, illness, because if they did, they would actually be a target out in nature. So we have to pay very, very close attention to that behavior that they're exhibiting and to their welfare. And when we're talking about animal welfare, we work hard to ensure the 5 basic freedoms. And so what those are is freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, pain, and injury or disease, the ability to express their normal behavior, and freedom from fear and distress. So one of our very big responsibilities is to ensure all 5 of those categories for each individual animal that lives with us. One way that we do that is by training. And we train with a technique called operant conditioning, which allows them to exhibit natural behaviors, and then we can modify those slightly to increase an animal's confidence and their comfort. And we use a technique called positive reinforcement. So that means that if an animal or your learner exhibits a behavior that you want, you then reinforce it. Just like when a dog sits and you give them a treat, that treat is that reinforcement. So it's positive for everybody. Another thing that we then consider to ensure the 5 freedoms is our environment, the design of the environment around us. So that has to do not only with our behind the scenes day-to-day work and their enclosures that they live in, but also when we go out into the public and do our environmental education. It's an environment that is safe and comfortable where the bird can succeed and be confident in that environment. From there, we then have really strong, confident animals that are willing to participate. And research has then shown that in doing it in such a way to ensure all of these 5 freedoms of animal welfare, we are, the birds actually live longer, live healthier lives. They aren't as prone to heart disease and all those things that you can see in animals as they get older. So we invest that time, and it's worth it, and we love them.
Lindsay, I didn't realize the slides switched on you. I'll go back to this one.
Oh,
since
no,
I
that's
didn't
okay.
finish talking about that. Go ahead.
It's better to talk about welfare, you know. I mean, it's just, we do a lot of programs and we spread environmental awareness. But I do also have a special friend with us because I could talk forever. So I'm gonna move this. All right, is the screen back on to me?
Yep, I stopped sharing, so you are back.
Perfect, thank you. So this is actually one of our ambassadors. His name is Gimli, and Gimli is a red phase screech owl. He was hatched in 2021, so he is a very young bird. He moved in with us, as you can tell, very recently. But what happened with him is he was hatched out in the wild in like around the Milton Whitewater area, and he was hit by a car. So somebody found him and took him into a wildlife rehabilitator, where they realized because of the car incident, he completely lost function of one of his eyes. So in order to keep him safe and healthy and the rest of his head anatomy, his right eye, there he is, his right eye was actually removed. And then he moved in with us to be an educator. So we are able to go into the public and share Gimli just like this, although it, you know, most of the time it is in person, but then people can see him up close. And it is that behind the scenes day-to-day stuff where we're ensuring all aspects of animal welfare, where we then have a very healthy and very confident animal that can help spread environmental awareness. So I could keep going, but if you have any questions, let me move this.
I will jump in here to help facilitate if anyone has any questions. Please feel free. Susan, it looks like you have raised your hand. Would you like to speak?
No, I was actually, it was the clapping emoji.
Oh,
Thank you very
sorry.
much. It was very, very nice to hear all the great work.
Well, good, thank you. Yeah, I mean, and one thing I want to point out too, when looking at Gimli right now, is that our birds, all 15 of them, are bird species that are native to Wisconsin. So from there, we are able to educate specifically about issues in Wisconsin with the help of our birds, habitat conservation, and just wildlife ecology in general that is Wisconsin focused. So Gimli, a screech owl, these birds are found all throughout Wisconsin.
I will do one last call for any questions.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please jump in, Lori.
Hello. Thank you very much, Lindsay, by the way, for presenting. This is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And I'm envious of your work that you do. And I mean, just absolutely, it's got to be so rewarding to work with these animals and everything. Just curious as far as how difficult is it to get the animals where they're feeling safe and, you know, comfortable with with the different public and the different sessions that you go to?
Of course, that is a fantastic question. It frequently relies on each animal. I can have Gimli here, who jumped into programming almost immediately, was very comfortable with it, to another screech owl who it could take up to 3 to 4 months. And so each one is individual and reacts to the environment completely differently. So, you know, what they always say is training is a study of, or behavior is a study of one. There can be some generalizations, but we always just focus on the specific animal and their needs and what their behaviors are telling us. But it frequently, because when they join us, they're wild. Most of the time they want nothing to do with us. Wild animals don't want to. So we spend time just, you know, going into their enclosure with them, showing them over time with conditioning that we're not going to harm them, offering them food, offering them enrichment. That's something I could talk about for hours, but enrichment is actually I have made it a required aspect of animal care here at Schlitz Audubon, that animals will receive enrichment at least 4 to 5 times a week. And so over time, then they learn we're not going to do bad things to them, and then it's a lot of trust building. So yeah, like I said, some birds are easier than others.
So then as far as do you usually like start with like a group of staff members or something, or the volunteers to introduce as like a group in a group setting, or how does that work?
Yes, in fact, we have set up in our structure here that we have free weekend programs at 1 o'clock. They're called Word with a Bird. And those are typically the first programs that our new birds go to, because we can control it very well. And we can, if the bird is showing stress, you know, we can get them out of there. But they're very low key, not a lot of activity type public programs that are just come and go. So the bird then, yeah, it might be in front of just like 2 or 3 people of the public. And so then we ease them into it that way.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I do have a question. I'm curious as to whether you're able to offer like live food for them, being that they're raptors.
Yeah, we decide not to. So the only live prey that we do offer them is sometimes like we'll get minnows for them to go fishing and catch them out of their bowls, or mealworms or crickets, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to our larger prey animals, we provide them deceased prey items that have been purchased by a supplier.
I gotta say, he's so cute.
Yeah, but he's ferocious.
Oh yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he weighs like 5 ounces.
Jeez.
Guy. He's full grown. These birds like to live in tree cavities. So, you know, they hang out in the front holes and they just fill up the hole. And with this great, oh, he's going to do an owly thing now. This great camouflage, they can blend right in. But yeah, they are still ferocious predators. Yeah, I have heard of a report that a screech owl could actually has taken down a duck. They can take down mallard ducks.
Oh my gosh, that's quite the size difference.
It really is. Yeah, yeah. Mostly they go for small rodents and things like moths. Those are, of course, their favorites. But
Are any of them reproducing?
I'm sorry, what? Reproducing?
Are any of them reproducing?
We do not breed the birds. All of them are fully capable of doing so, but native migratory birds are protected by the federal government. So under the Migratory Bird Act, so every action that is taken with these birds has to be recorded, and you have to get special permits for everything. So our permits are for education only, but there are facilities that breed birds. And others, that do rehab, we don't do rehab either.
Yeah, I was
Do you-
just wondering if that's part of their normal behavior, if being together, or are they generally solitary type birds?
Yeah.
Like crows, don't they normally, aren't they part of a group usually?
That is correct. That is correct. So our raptors are very solitary animals, and they don't really want to be around others. And crows, although we're called the Raptor Program, we have Loki the crow to spread really important education about how important crows are, but they're not considered raptors. So for our crow, because they are so social, we have created very big, strong, trusting bonds. And so he feels like we are his flock, and he is really happy to be with us.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Crows are cool. Look, crows,
They-
I really are. I like them a lot.
Good, me too. It's one of my personal missions to spread the love of crows throughout Wisconsin, because they're really phenomenal birds. And once people learn about them, they do really appreciate them so much more. And you're great too. Sorry.
Well, he is right there and listening.
Yeah, that was so rude of me.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much, Lindsay and Gimli, for joining us today. And thank you all for attending today's session. With this being our last Partners in Giving Lunch and Learn, we do have all of them pre-recorded and on the website if you'd like to look at any of the ones we had previously hosted. And I want to put in the chat quick the list of all of our participating charities. And again, thank you all for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.